Have you shifted into your highest possible timeline? The only way for us to step into the version of ourselves that we want to be is for us to shift into the parallel version of ourselves that we are in that timeline. In order to do that, there's a certain sequence that we must take. There is a certain progression of development and understanding and wisdom that must be incorporated into our vessel in order for us to move in that direction. Because whenever we step into a new reality and we shift the identity of ourselves, that is when the whole pendulum changes and we step into a whole new reality. I'm Cody, and I help people to activate their divine consciousness codes that will ignite their heart ablaze and open the door to limitless possibilities. So what does it truly mean to timeline shift? Whenever we make changes in our lives, we are met with decisions. We are met with choices. And whenever we decide on those choices, each choice, each decision that we can make creates a whole ripple effect of a different timeline, of a different parallel reality for which we are able to shift into. Even the smallest things like a leaf or an insect or just moving something across the table could have dramatic effects on the timeline that you shift to. It could have little to no effect. But the point is, there are parallel and alternate realities that are constantly converging and merging together to where sometimes these parallel realities actually merge together and we start to see anomalies that we wouldn't normally see. We start to see anomalies that come from other parallel realities. So maybe you said something to somebody in one reality, but you didn't in another. And that could create conflict because they may say that you said something that you didn't say. Or it could be that you moved something that wasn't there before. I've even heard in Dolores Cannon, when she would do her past life regressions, she would have people that would walk by a building and, or rather they would walk by where there was, just a tree there or something. And then they would walk by the next day and there was a building, like a whole completely different area. And, they're confused, like there was just a tree here yesterday. And then they walk by the next day and it's back to normal, back to the tree that it was. Because they had merged and shifted timelines. I mean, that's not possible. And even to put a building up in that amount of time takes, at the very least weeks. But to see that happen in a day is virtually impossible without there being some sort of timeline shift or something along the sorts. So a beautiful analogy that I wanted to incorporate and bring up is from a video that I watched earlier by a guy by the name of Kyle Cease. He was talking about timeline shifting, and he used this analogy of an elevator. And the elevator represents the pendulum that we're currently on. Basically, the current reality that we are shifting through. So if you think about each floor as a different alternate timeline, then each floor is going to be a set of different circumstances and decisions that had to be made in order for you to get there. What happens is so many people get stuck because they get stuck on a floor. They become so attached to that floor, whatever's on that floor, that they find ways to keep themselves in that cycle, often through self-abuse or self-harm or self-neglect. It could be through drugs and alcohol. It could be through poor habits, poor sleeping habits, poor eating habits. It could be through bad relationships that we need to get rid of and disconnect from. It could be a variation of things. But people, as we're going up this elevator, we go through, it's almost like we're going through levels, like in a video game. As we're elevating and we're growing and we're evolving, different obstacles are going to come up for us, different challenges. and different people and opportunities as well are going to come into our lives. Sometimes we have things that come into our lives that test us, and sometimes we have things that come into our lives that help to elevate us and get us to the next level, which really, ultimately, it's all to help us to get to the next level. But sometimes people or situations come along to help give us that support that we need, whereas other people and situations come along to give us the tests and the lessons that we need in order to learn the wisdom to move on to the next floor. And the problem comes whenever we get so attached to that floor that we try to keep ourselves stuck in that floor. We try to keep ourselves bound to that floor by using whatever methods to keep us there that we can, instead of allowing us to truly be in the surrendering process and allow that flow of life to take us, allow that pendulum to take us, and to not get so caught up especially to not get caught up in a fear-based reality. That's what we do not want to do, is to get stuck on a floor that is based out of fear. We want to continue to elevate and raise our vibration, raise our frequency. And I don't mean like the love and light bullshit. I'm talking about being able to feel certain things that come up in the moment. There are a lot of inner child wounding, or rather inner child healing, that is taking place across the planet right now. And this is a gradual process. This is not something that happens all at once. Because I've been doing healing work for 10 plus years, and relating to inner child work and relating to like the core wounding aspects of myself. And even now, this eclipse actually recently brought up a lot of inner child wounding that I had, and I found myself like paralyzed by this energy, by this. I didn't know how to navigate through it. It was like my body felt jacked up, like I couldn't eat anything, I couldn't drink anything, and all that I could really do was just be with it, just be with myself. And so, I got busy, I stayed active, I was doing stuff. I actually didn't really sit with it until I did a meditation by Aaron Dowdy. He was holding a live meditation, and it was very powerful because it helped to bring me back into my space, and with everything going on in the Middle East right now, it was actually a meditation to send energy and love towards the Middle East, or towards the planet, to have that group collective meditation so we can all bring our energy into that pendulum and to help shift into a new reality. But first, what he did is to help bring you back into yourself, back into your own healing, to give yourself that energy that you need before you could try to send it out to somebody else or to the world. And when I did that, I was in a really like heavy place. And when I went into this meditation, all I could really think about was my inner child. And I could see him like standing there holding a teddy bear, looking at me, wondering why I'm not being more loving towards him, why I'm being distant. And I felt in that moment that I was having a hard time showing my inner child love, and it wasn't even a conscious thing. It's just sometimes we get so busy that we neglect the things that we truly need to do for ourselves and for others. And oftentimes that's what happens with parenting. Our parents don't have the time and the energy to keep up with us as kids, because we're so boundless and so full of energy. And even and I mean, so many people also go through just traumatic experiences, but just on a normal day-to-day basis, we all, as children, experience some form of abandonment, some form of trauma, whether it be from our parents, whether it be from our friends, whether it be from schooling, whether it just be from the world. I mean, it could be through anything. And whenever I was able to sit with that and feel that, I could truly feel in my heart that energy coming through of my inner child, that he needed to express to me the things that he wanted to say to me, and just ultimately came down to me not giving myself enough love, And as a result, I wasn't able to really do anything. I wasn't able to read or to focus on the things that I wanted to get done that day. So I tried keeping myself busy instead of dealing with that. And whenever I sat down to meditate, that shifted me into a new timeline. That shifted me into a new pendulum, especially doing the group meditation, because it was at least 3,000 people, and we are all in this container together. And by doing that, I made a split decision in that moment, or rather, I created a ripple effect, a timeline branch where in one timeline I decided not to do that meditation and I went one way. In the other one I did do that meditation and I went another way. And if you think about it, the decisions that we make, the ripple effects that it creates, transpires and ripples out to the rest of the world, and not only changes our lives, but changes the lives of everybody around us. It's that whole pendulum. We all fall into this collective timeline together. We start to download these thoughts and these energies of other people that are also resonating on the same frequency as us in that moment. And so to equate it to the elevator analogy, as we go up in these various floors, these floors are like the different pendulum swings. As the pendulum continues to swing, it's like the elevator going up. And if we hold on to one of those floors, we're going to get stuck, and we're going to create this cycle that we're going to continue to repeat until we can see the lessons or learn the lessons and integrate those lessons and step up to the next level. And what we're going to find is we're going to find other people that are also in that very same pendulum. Everybody that you meet and everybody that is in your life is a part of your pendulum, is a part of your timeline. So if you wish to shift into another timeline, it is important for you to understand that it requires you to shift the way that you think. It requires you to shift the identity that you see yourself as, to shift the way in which you embody the energy within you. Because as long as you are embodying the old stories and the old energy of who you used to be, then you're going to continue to be that version of yourself. You're going to continue to hold those patterns and that frequency, and you're going to stay stuck in this floor. You're not going to be able to move on. It's just going to create this gradual process where you fall into the same cycles. Maybe you feel like you make progress and then you fall back, and you keep going in this repetitive journey that feels like it's endless because you're stuck in this floor, in this pendulum. However, there's an infinite number of timelines for which we are shifting into, and whenever you make any decision, it's going to create a branch. It's going to branch off of the initial timeline. Anytime there is a decision to be made, that is the point at which there's going to be a ripple effect. So in order to change our identity, we have to understand what it is that we are seeking and what it is that we are truly want. As we continue to go up in this elevator, we want to make sure that we are shifting into the version of ourselves that we truly want to be. The best thing for us to do is to first, what I like to do is to use the law of assumption, which basically you assume a reality before it actually becomes a reality physically. If you cannot see it in your mind's eye, do not expect to be able to physically manifest that life for yourself. Because it all starts in here and in here. We have to create the vision in our mind and fuel that with the energy of our heart, with the energy of our passions and our true deepest soul desires. We have to pour that energy into what it is that we wish to create. It's almost like whenever you have a team that is creating some sort of structure, or scaling up these massive buildings. You're going to have an architect, you're going to have a team of people that are working together that are going to lay the foundation and the framework to create this building. But if you don't have that, then it's going to be hard to get everybody on the same page. And even within ourselves, we are a walking ecosystem. So we have billions of cells and bacteria and just all these things that make up a human, like all these things that create us. So within our internal ecosystem, if we don't have that vision, if we don't have that foresight of where it is that we want to go, then it's going to be hard for even our own integral system to formulate around that, to be able to step into that, to allow ourselves to live that life, because we're going to continually sabotage. Since we don't have a clear vision on what it is that we want, we're going to continue to do things that do not align with that life, because our energy is not directed towards that vision. So this elevator is ultimately moving up in the direction of our ultimate vision. Or rather, the elevator is moving up regardless. But it's best to point it in the direction that aligns with our highest timeline, that aligns to our highest purpose, to where we are fulfilling the mission that we came here to fulfill. And we are living out our deepest core desires. We are giving back the medicine that we came here to give. We all have medicine within us. We all have a gift that the world needs, and it's packaged up inside of us. Inside of you, there is a beautiful, magnificent light that is waiting to be shown upon the world. To be that lighthouse shining upon the endless sea of possibilities, so that other people can begin to see their magic and allow their light to shine. But it starts with you, seeing that within yourself, holding that vision, using the law of assumption to truly feel into that, so that you can create brain and heart coherence, as Joe Dispenza talks about. With that brain and heart coherence, it truly allows you to shift and to do what we would consider miracles, to create things that you could never even imagine in your wildest dreams. Once we start to live as that version of ourselves, and we start to embody that and show up as that, we are going to drastically shift our lives and shift into the timeline that best allows us to utilize and to give our gift back to the world. And we are constantly being guided and led into that direction. All we have to do is listen. We have to get quiet and hear that inner voice within us, to see what it is that it has to tell us, so that we can step out of our old identity, step out into something new, step into a new version of ourselves that we can truly be proud of, the version of ourselves that is in full integrity with our core values, and that version of ourselves that is able to shift into our highest timeline. So let's ride that pendulum together, my friends, that collective pendulum, so that we can all shift into the highest timeline. And let's send love to everybody in the Middle East and everything going on in the world. Send love to the world. Most importantly, give that love back to yourself. Show up for yourself, whatever it is that you need. If you wish to shift into your highest timeline, it is crucial for you to listen to yourself, to listen to your body and your heart. What is it trying to tell you? What is it trying to show you about yourself? Or what do you need to hear? Just take the time, maybe first thing in the morning to meditate, or at night, whatever works best for you, to be able to drop into yourself and hear that inner voice and what it has to say. When something comes up, don't be afraid to feel it. Don't be afraid to cry and to show your emotions, or to scream and yell. If you have the space to do it, or to punch a pillow, or to just find a healthy way to express what you're feeling. So many of us are told as children that our emotions aren't important, or our emotions need to be tamed and suppressed so as to please others. And this has caused us to create identities that are solely for survival. It's not who we truly are. And these identities get stuck on these floors. So we're not able to continue to elevate. We just remain on that floor, stuck, repeating the same cycles. And as a result, we're not able to shift our identity, to shift it into something new. So I am very grateful to have you here on this journey with me, my friends. It's been a pleasure. Once we start to come together and we bring our energies together from that heart space coherence, we will begin to shift collectively into the most beautiful and expansive world that you could ever imagine. But first, it starts with you. It starts with finding that energy within yourself. And if you can do that, then you will instantly transform not just everyone around you, but the world. The world needs your medicine, my friends. So please don't give up. Keep pushing. Keep striving. And keep working towards that dream, that vision that you have for your life. No matter how hard it gets, we are all in this together. And as we come together, we're going to become stronger. We're going to create communities based out of love. And we're going to create projects and do things that will completely transform the world. But again, it starts with you. Until you shift into that timeline within yourself, then you're not going to be able to step into that, because you're going to be stuck in an old timeline. So thank you for being here, my friends. I love each and every one of you, and I'm looking forward to being on this journey with you and connecting with you in the future. Peace, love, namaste. Who wanted to make an appearance on the video? It's a little ant. Looks like a little queen. It's like an ant with wings. Or maybe it's just a light, I don't know.